Good morning, virtual villagers, and welcome to my session on pet toys. I'm Kate from What Kate Made, and this is Wee Jack. Now, little Jack is my Shih Tzu. He's 12-year-old. What I'm going to show you, we keep going dark, but it'll be better later. What I'm going to show you how to make today, neither of which he'll play with because he only plays with one toy. So, without further ado, I'm going to put him down because he's wriggling, and I'll get on with showing you what we're going to do today. So let me put the dog down. There you go, baby. He does like being on telly. Right, I'm just going to turn the camera around a bit. We keep getting, I've got daylight today and it's just a bit flashy. So you can see my table there. We're going to have quite a long view today because some of the things are quite long. So what I'm going to make today is a dog toy. So that is a tug toy. It's made from fleece. I always choose fleece because it doesn't fray. And I used to have a dog that chewed everything to bits, and I would end up with fluff all over my house. This one doesn't chew at all. It's got a, so your dog can either, you can use it either way. They can either grab this bit, the loop bit, and you can grab the other end, but it's very simple to make. I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. When I'm saying it doesn't fray, I chose one of the fleeces I chose, and the ones I'm going to demo with, I've got quite a pile on them, so they're like fur. When I cut them, there was fluff everywhere. It doesn't fray when they're playing with it, but it can make a bit of a mess when you're making it. So that's the dog toy. And the cat toy is very simple, although it's a little bit more elaborate. It's a little fish, and the little fish has catnip in it. Now, I've never had a cat, but I understand catnip is like, I don't know, chocolate to them. They love it. So that's what I'm going to show you. I don't know that you can see. It's embroidered with sort of a skeleton shape on it, fish skeleton. Now, this one has been done by machine, but I'm going to show you one that's a bit half and half. I have done some machine work and some hand embroidery, just so I've got time to show it to you. So we're going to start with this one. So what you need is some felt. I've chosen a sort of turquoisey blues today. So I've got 3 or 4 bits of felt there. I've got a little template that I made myself, just simply a little fishy shape. So it's kind of like on a curve, so it's swimming along like that. And I've just basically drawn the skeleton shape on it, but it's handy to have a template to draw around. I've got scissors. I've chosen a dark blue embroidery thread because it goes nice with the colours here, and disappearing marker pen, which is really handy. Oh, and the catnip and a little bit of stocking to put the catnip in. Now, the reason, if you sew it on a machine, you can just put the catnip straight inside, but if you're hand sewing it, you'll need to put it in something because it will leak out. Oh, and a little bit of toy stuffing. Got a little bit of toy stuffing. Right, so I'm going to start by showing you how I drew out the shape. I'm going to use this blue because I've got more of that. I'm going to try and get up your comments. So if you're there, you can speak to me. It's not always easy for me to do this, but I'm going to try. Give me 1 sec. It doesn't seem to have got me up live yet, but I'll carry on. So take your felt. Can you see me? I always fold it in half and then draw on it. So I'm getting 2 at once, but you're also getting them both the right way around because they'll need to be back to back. It's difficult to explain, but you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to draw around my fish shape with my disappearing gel pen. These are absolutely amazing tools. They disappear with friction or heat. So there's my fish shape, and I'm just going to cut round it nice and neatly. Not my usual style of cutting because normally I'm a bit slapdash. I might have to go back around and just neaten it up a little bit. Although if you're hand embroidering around it, I'm going to use a blanket stitch, and that covers quite a lot of the edging up. So if you're sewing it on the machine, nothing will hide your cutting out. So be warned. So that's my fish shape. Now, I'm not going to worry about any pen marks I've left behind. I might just even up that curve there, a little bit, and that curve there. So what I would do now is I'm going to open this up because they're going to go back that way, and I'm going to write W on there because that means it's the wrong side. So when I start embroidering, I know which side I have to embroider on. Okay, so the first thing I would do is I would start to embroider the fish skeleton. Excuse me, let me let the dog out. Stop barking. He likes to be on telly, but only for a short time. Now, you can draw the fish shape on first if you like, but I more or less know what I'm doing now. So I'm going to show you one that I did. This one I started because I didn't want you to be watching me sew all the time. So I've done one side. It stands out much better with the dark blue. So that's the kind of shape we're going for. So I'm going to finish off the other side. I've got some ready threaded needles, so we don't have to watch me. Now it's all done in backstitch, which is quite simple to do. With backstitch, can you see this? I'm going to try and bring you a little bit closer, just bear with me. I've got a different tripod, so it's a little bit, oh, sorry. Right, I think you might be able to see better there. I'll hold it up to the camera. So I've put a knot in the end of my embroidery thread, and I'm going to come up at that point. As you can see, I have actually drawn on this one with the pen. I'm going to come up there and backstitch. Can you see me? You go down through, then you come up at a point somewhere further along your line, and you go back then to the start of this stitch here. So the first stitch you did. So that is you're going backwards all the time. So we'll carry on doing the backbone. You can do quite big stitches. They don't have to be little tiny delicate stitches because we're just looking for a shape. I'm going to stitch all the way down the backbone. I have prepared several examples of this because there is a lot of stitching, and if you just watch me stitch it all, we'd not have time to see anything else. So I'm just going to carry on with this just for a little while. Sometimes your thread will get a little bit tangled. Sometimes it helps if you let it dangle and it sort of unravels itself. I'll just go on the tail a little bit. Still trying to get you up live and it's not letting me. Don't worry about it. I'll catch up with your comments afterwards. If you just keep commenting, I'm sure somebody will reply to you. And then I will check them all later when I'm sitting having my lunch. So you get the idea. So you just keep back stitching all around that shape. And eventually you will get your fish skeleton like this. Okay. So I am just going to put the skeleton on one side. I also have one here. This one I did yesterday on the machine. Can you see? It's the same shapes, and I'm just going to, if I can get it the right way around, that's it. I'm going to sew this one together for you. There's just a few little ends left to trim off. I think when I was practicing this one, I didn't put wrong side on and I got them the wrong way around, but it doesn't really matter. Just trim off these last few little ends where it's sewn together. Okay, so that's our shape, our fish shape. So we're going to blanket stitch around the edge. And when I set this camera up, I should have thought about it a bit better because you're a little bit far away to See the embroidery? I'll do my best. Now, if you know how to do blanket stitch, I think I need a longer piece than that. You can back stitch around the edge, and that will be more secure. But the problem with doing the back stitch is that, if I show you in a minute, it has a front and a back. So the front is like that, and the back is like that. So that is what your edge will look like. Whereas blanket stitch has is the same on both sides, or similar. It doesn't look untidy on the back anyway, because you use it for edging blankets. So I've knotted my thread. I want to leave a spot for stuff in it, and it's best to leave a spot along a long edge. So I'm going to come up about here with my thread, and I'm going from the inside. I'm just going through the first layer so that my thread end is hidden inside. It'll go inside. It's not cooperating. Anyway, there we go. Now, blanket stitch, you need to do a loop. Trying to explain now. So what we're going to do is we're going to get my thread on the right side. We are going up. We're going just next to where we threaded our hole through and going up to the top like that. And then we're going to wrap our yarn around it, and we're going to pull up, and then we're going to keep doing that. So can you see me? Right. So blanket stitch, we're going to go a little bit further along, go through, and then this end of our thread is going to go around the needle, and what it does is create that shape. Can you see? You've got a line along the top, and you've got lines going up, and it's a great edging stitch. But you need to make sure that your thread's always going behind your needle as you pull it up, so that it catches it in a loop, and then you just keep going round. So again, I want to put the thread behind the needle, and then oops, again. I use blanket stitch a lot because it's decorative and it holds it together, and it looks the same on both sides, as you can see. So it's a good visible stitch. If you can't quite see what I'm doing, if you come to play this back, then I'm sure you can find an easy tutorial for blanket stitch somewhere. I use it a lot. One of the things I use it for is because I do a lot of crochet, and I also would like to be able to do patchwork, but I'm rubbish at it. So I decided I would try a method that's called crochet fusion, and basically you cut out your patchwork squares, and then you blanket stitch around the edge like this, and then you can pick up these top loops and crochet through them, and I crochet squares together then, like you would with a granny square blanket or something, and it works really well. It looks lovely, particularly if you have a nice sort of flowery patterned fabric and a delicate colour. I've made cushions out of it. I've never gone as far as making a blanket. I could try it for a small blanket for a cot or something like that, maybe. In fact, I do have somewhere some ready cut out squares in blue that I started to work on, and then, as you do when you're a crafter, halfway through a project, you see something you like better. I'm not going to go all the way around this. I should really, because in my examples I haven't got one stitched together that I can stuff for you, but you'll get the idea. What time have we got? I don't want to be spending all my time stitching. So the reason I've chosen to do pet toys this week and have wee Jack on camera with me is that this month has been National Pet Month. Sorry, that's getting tangled. And Friday was actually National Pet Day. Now, I'm not on a Friday, so I couldn't do it on Friday, but I'm doing it this month. So that's a nice reason for showing off pet toys. Now, the dog I had before Jack, he was a big, tough dog, and he loved tug toys, and he absolutely loved chewing things to bits. So as you can tell, probably guess, we went through a lot of toys. That's why I started making them for him. And he's the one I decided I would use fleece for, because he was just rubbish at, there was just stuff everywhere. If it frayed, it would be in bits in 5 minutes. He was a staffy cross, and he had a very strong jaw. So yeah. Right, well, you get the picture of how you just keep sewing round it, because I've run out of thread now, so I'll stop. Last stitch. When you get to the end, you just need to, oops, knot your thread off. What I usually do is feed it under one of the other stitches like this. It's not going to go. And then back through itself, and that knots it off. And then you can put it inside, so that hides your ends as well. So you would carry on with your blanket stitch all the way around your fish, and then you come to stuffing it. And as I said, I haven't got one that's joined together to stuff, so I don't have cats either. I'm going to end up with 4 catnip fish and nowhere to give them. I might see if anybody in my village has got a fish. Not a fish, a cat. Okay, so catnip is a herb, and apparently to cats it's like cocaine. I bought this a while back, so it may have lost its, although it is sealed, it may have lost some of its power. But what I will do with this is, because this is hand sewn and doesn't have a very enclosed edge, you don't want it leaking out all over. I can't even get into it, leaking out all over the place. So I made a little bag from a piece of tight. So I've cut it off the leg of the tight, I've tied a knot in the bottom. I'm going to open it up. I should have got a spoon. Put some catnip in it. So just bear with me a minute. I'm tripping over Jack now. I'll just pop a little bit in this jar, just because if I try and put it straight in the stocking, I know it'll go everywhere. So about a teaspoonful. I think I got my catnip from a certain online retailer, not a Chinese one. So you know what I mean. Then I'm just going to tip that in gently. This jar's got sticky on it where its label was. Right, and then when I've got it inside, I'm going to tie another knot in it, so it's like a little enclosed, like a tea bag really. Now the reason I chose tights, apart from the fact that they stretch really easily, is that you need the smell to come out. So you couldn't put it in paper or plastic, because the smell wouldn't come through. So there's my little bag of catnip. Then I get my toy stuff in. I'm just going to show you vaguely on this half stitched one. So you want to gently stuff it. You're just going to stuff it quite gently and mostly through the body. The tail stays fairly flat. It's difficult to get it into the tail. So you would have sewn it all the way around the edge to about there. So you stuff it through this bit. So you put a bit of stuffing in it, you catnip, and then when it's fully enclosed, you just carry on stitching up your gap. So then you've got your little cat. It does smell vaguely of something, but I'm not sure it would drive me wild. So that's your catnip toy. Now, one thing you can do with this, which I only just thought of this morning, because I know how cats like to run after things, even though I don't have a cat. So you could put it on a stick. So basically, you would sew the piece of cord in it there when you're sewing it up, and then tie the other end to a bamboo cane, and then you can sort of tease the cat by dangling it in front of it. So that's our cat toy. Let me just get rid of the cat toy bits and we'll move on to the tug toy. I've got this one. There's another one I could show you as well. It takes the knots a bit more difficult, but if we've time, I'll show you. So this one basically is plaited, so it's easy enough. That's what I would call a reasonably small one. So what you need are 3 strips of fleece. As I said before, we use fleece because it doesn't fray, although it does pill. So I've got a house covered in fluff now. I'm also using some macrame cord to bind this bit. I do knot it, but then I like to bind it as well. So you just need your fleece and you need some scissors. And as you can see, this is still shedding little bits of pill. So I'm going to have to hoover again today. I'm just going to have one more go at bringing you up live. It's not doing it for me. I don't know why. Anyway, I'll have a look later. So you can see the length of my table. These are my 3 strips of fleece. I've cut them slightly wider than I made for that one and a bit longer because I thought we'd try and make a bigger one for a bigger dog. So as you can see, they're about 1.5 inches wide and they are about 2 meters roughly. You're going to start plaiting them in the middle. So lay them out together and then find the middle. So we'll just put them together like that, and that's the middle. And the way I've been doing it, because it's difficult plaiting if you've only got one pair of hands. So I've got one of these big clips that it holds my tablecloth on, but it's the sort of thing you get for the beach. And I'm just going to, you can't see because I'm out of shot, but what I'm doing is I'm putting all 3 bits together and I'm going to clip them to the edge of my table, and that'll hold them steady while I plait. So I'm going to start plaiting. I'm standing up now, so let me get my chair out of the way. So I'm going to start plaiting. I'll just see if I can get you down a bit further. No, move you back. Not better? Yeah, you can see now. Starting plaiting here. You want to plait fairly firmly and keep untangling as you go, with your fluff flying everywhere in my case. I lost my plait then. So keep plaiting quite tightly. So that you've got a good firm bit for your dog to grab hold of. Plaiting is always sounds easier than it actually is. I'm going to need to untangle more as I go, that's better. Now this plait's coming out a nice sort of mottled colour. That's because the fleece I used had a pattern on it. Like a lot of things that you see me use, I scavenge for fleece. I don't buy it off the roll. I buy it at charity shops, old fleece blankets usually. So I'm just going to, where's my other clip? I can't find it, so I'm just going to roughly tie a knot there, which I will untie later, so don't tie it too tightly. That's just to stop my plait unraveling while I plait the other end. Okay, so I'm going to swap that over now. I'm going to clip that end and carry on plaiting this way. Oh, not cut right through there. Oh, they were paper scissors, they're rubbish. Okay, so I'm going to try and get that as tight as I can so that when I take the clip off it will easily sort of ravel itself together. So you keep plaiting again, keeping it nice and tight. So the other one I'm going to show you is based on a square knot. Now, a square knot's a little bit more difficult. It's actually not bad once you get going, but if we've time, I will show you that. We might not have time. It's based on a macrame square knot, or the sort of knot that if you ever do any paracord bracelets, you would use it for that. can't remember how much tassel we left on the other side. Let me just bring it up and check. That's probably about right. So a bit more. Can always unravel it again. Okay, so when you've got your plaiting done, we're ready to start the last bit. Now, when I did the one yesterday, I used shorter pieces and I never really didn't have enough to carry on plaiting it, so I just tied it like a tassel. But this time I am going to try and plait them further down. So you bring your two yeah, that's about right. So I've got this nice big long loop now. Might take it back a little bit. And I'm going to plait these ends, these 6 ends together, if I can. Now I'm going to have to attach it to the table again because I don't want them to unwind as I'm plaiting. Whoops. Very handy, these clips. And I'm going to divide them into pairs now. So I've got 3 pairs. And then, you can't really see it, but you will in a minute. I'm going to plait them together rather than knotting and binding them. Gives you a bit more of a handle. And you get a chunkier plait because they're thicker. So you can see I've got a handle now. I'm still going to leave a tassel end. So when I get here, you can see I've got a loop and a handle. So I'm just going to put my big clip on that while I sort out my binding knot. So this is my macrame cord. I'm going to pull off a good 1.5 meters. Now, a binding knot, all covered in fluff now. A binding knot, you make a loop like that. So you've got this end. Then you place the loop so that it's at the top. Can you see like that? And you're leaving the loop free. And you're also leaving the short end free. And what you do is, where you want your binding knot to go from there to there, you take the long end and you bind it around, tightly around, trying to keep it as even as you can. So it kind of like, I'll show you in a minute. It makes a nice, even, it's like making a noose. A hangman's noose is what it looks a bit like. I know that's not very PC, probably. Do we say PC anymore? I don't know. But the reason for this, using this knot, is you can hide all your ends with it. So when you've got it enough, like, can you see, like that, we then cut off this bit, we'll leave, and then this short tail we've just cut off goes through the loop like that. And then the other tail, you pull, and you can see that the loop pulls the long ends underneath the binding knot, the cut ends. So then when you can snip them off and they disappear. So we've now got a nice bind, but we haven't got any ends. What I'm just going to do is trim my tassel so that they're all the same length, just because it's neater. Let's find good scissors. And then you're going to, I would recommend, if you've used a pilled fleece like mine, that you run it through the washing machine, but not with anything else, just to get rid of all the fluff off it. You can give it a good shake, but do it outside. As I found, I had to hoover 3 times yesterday, and look at my t-shirt, it's going to have covered in fluff. So give it a bit of a shake. That's our giant tug toy. It's so giant I can't get it all in the camera. But a big dog would love that, and this one would be great for a smaller dog. that's got less give in it, and it doesn't shed as much. Well, that's about it. Now, still got 10 minutes or so I might show you, or try and show you this square knot. So I've got some more fleece ready cut out. Now, that's what it looks like when it's made up. So as you can see, it's thicker and less giving. I'm not sure if I've got enough fleece cut here. 1, 2. I have got 4 pieces. They're just not very long, but it'll give you an idea of how you do a square knot. So the first thing you do is, and I'll try and show you this. I sometimes can't remember. Get your 4 pieces together and tie a knot in them. These might be a bit thick. Yeah. So you want your knot to be right at the very end, as near the end as you can get it and as tight as you can get it. So that's going to be one end of your square knot. So if you can see this, you then set them out in a cross like that. And let me remember, you take the left hand side of your cross over the downward one. Is that right? And then you take the right hand side over. Then this one goes through. This might not work. I think it's like that, yeah. And then this one goes through that loop. And then you pull them together tight. Yes, no, that way. The tying of the first knot is always the hardest. And you just keep pulling all the ends until it forms a knot. That's it. That's that one. Which is that one? That one. I told you it wasn't easy, because I think I've done it wrong. But hang on, let me start again. I usually get the instructions up every single time I do it. I have to get the instructions up. It doesn't help that. Oh my! So you make a knot, and then that one goes over and under, like that, and then that one goes that way, and that one goes over and under. And then when you pull, yeah, not much of a demo of this. It's not going awfully well. That's it. If I do it that way, I always find it's the pulling of the ends that is a bit hit and missy at first, because you have to the first knot is always the hardest one, and you have to get it kind of, that's it, it's done it now. It's remembering which ends to pull to get it together. That must be that one. There we go. There we go. We're getting there now. So we formed our first square, and we put our, again, we do the same thing again. You can find really good YouTube videos of this. As I say, it's not something I can ever remember how to do. So I always end up having to YouTube it myself. And I do it quite a lot. So there, that's it. Pull alternate ones until it becomes a tight square. I don't know what that dog's barking at. And you just keep repeating the loops and the pulling through. That way it goes. And then loop that one and pull that through there. So if you've done a square knot in macrame, it's not working very well because these ends aren't very good. Then you pull it tight again. That's it. It's opposite ones you're supposed to pull. So you can see how it starts to form this, and you just keep doing that until the end. I wish I'd been more prepared to show you this and had better thing. So although it looks quite complicated, it is quite complicated actually. It does make a good strong toy. So if that's us, let me just turn you up. back round. Sorry, I've got my fingers in front of you. There we go. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to keep twirling you around because the light's in the way. That's better. You can see me and my mess now. I hope you enjoyed that for National Pet Month. I hope you enjoyed meeting with Jack, who's gone off to bark somewhere now. I'm back again, I think, in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be doing fabric covered journals. I'll show you a quick example. This is quite a simple one. So you've got your book cover. We've covered it in fabric. We've decorated it. We've put a little button loop on. It's just a diary, this one. That's what we're going to be doing next time. So I'll see you then. Thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.